Hi, how are you? I hope you're having a wonderful Monday and I hope you enjoyed your weekend as well. Welcome along. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I am aware that my twin sister's channel has a lot more subscribers than me, and I'm pretty sure I'm the OG. So subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much, and subscribe to her if you haven't already, but her content's never going to be as good as mine, okay? Okay? I'm joking. We're going to do one together very, very soon. Women's football weekend, I think, is in a couple of weeks after the international break. So I think we're going to plan and do something really big together for that. She lives 3 minutes down the road, so we should probably have this conversation soon. But anyway, let's talk about a few of the games that happened yesterday. It was a good day. It was a good day in the WSL. I expected more from Manchester United, but we'll talk about that a little bit later in the next video. Let's focus on Liverpool, Villa, West Ham, Brighton and Leicester against Arsenal. Shall we start with Liverpool hosting Aston Villa? Perhaps this is unfair to say about Liverpool because maybe I haven't seen them enough in real time. That's maybe very, very honest, but I'm not loving it. I think though they're struggling with some injuries and they need a little bit more time to adapt to the league, because Matt Beard's a great manager. There are some great members of the squad in there, but it feels like something's just not quite clicking. They were okay yesterday against Aston Villa, but Aston Villa struggled in places. If it weren't for the penalty, then it would have been a very different story, wouldn't it? How many penalties have Aston Villa had? I haven't actually looked at the stats, but I want to say it's nearly got to be a lot of penalty in every game. Rachel Daly, of course, took the penalty after last time round when we heard that Rachel Daly is the penalty taker when Alicia Lehman had taken one. So she stood up, she took it, she put it away, well done. A big win for Aston Villa. You know I'm invested in Aston Villa. I'm looking forward to going and seeing them very, very soon. And I've just been speaking in great detail to Remy Allen, who's out undergoing a rehab just now because of an ACL injury. And what a good person. They've got a really good squad there. There just seems to be a feeling of good vibes going on at Aston Villa. And there's so many players as well still to come back. You know, my sister, Rusha, Remy Allen, Simone McGill, Emily Gilnick as well, I believe is somebody else. I'm undergoing a bit of rehab at the moment. And of course Hannah Hampton, which has been a story dominating for the last couple of weeks. She's had a small procedure, hasn't she? We saw on her social media that she's had this procedure, and fingers crossed she should be back and at it very, very soon. But I would like to leave one comment here on the fact that Hannah Hampton hasn't been, you know, portrayed as by a certain light by journalists this week. The facts and the research goes into any of these stories going out by journalists who have looked into what's going on with Hannah are completely accurate. And it's going to be hard sometimes if you're a fan to hear certain players who you really look up to maybe spoken of in a negative light, but it doesn't mean this is a made up fictitious story. You know, there's no smoke without fire in these situations. So Hannah might have been having a procedure done and she also might have had an attitude problem. That's a very probable thing. And the women's game is going one way. There's going to be negative stories at times, you know, against certain players. It doesn't mean the journalists need to be attacked. These journalists have helped grow the women's game to the level that it's at and are at every single press conference and have been for years and really do their due diligence into everything that they work on. So I'm not best placed to see how some of the journalists have been treated after the Hannah Hampton story. But that's all well wishes to Hannah, and you know, these people are also just doing their jobs and doing a very good job at that as well. That is all I will say on that. I hope you can understand. Let's talk about West Ham and Brighton yesterday as well. What a mental game that was. That was absolutely insane. Fair play to West Ham. They're really offering something this season, and I suppose Paul Konchesky coming in, I think we're seeing a different kind of style of play. There's definitely a lot more aggression and bite. They work well together. they need a little bit more up top. Dagny Brins-Jarsdottir has been providing the goals. Maybe she needs a little bit of support as well. Perhaps they'll get that maybe in January. And they're still without Hawa Sissoko, who's got a 5-match ban after what happened against Aston Villa a few weeks ago, which is strong, isn't it? It's a lot. But the FA will make an example when they can, and unfortunately that's been at Hawa Sissoko. Paul Konchesky, I'm liking what they're doing. Even Lisa Evans looks like she's playing very, very well. She's a great player. She's been brilliant for West Ham, but yesterday she was excellent. A couple of assists in there as well. And let's talk about Brighton, which was the big story, I guess, from Sunday last week with Hope Powell stepping down. And this time last year I had Hope Powell on Women's Football Weekly. Excuse me, got the cold. On TalkSport 2, I was covering for Faye Carruthers when Faye went off to have her baby. And Hope Powell came on the show, and at that point they were, I think Brighton were sitting in third, and we were definitely going into like the Christmas break, and she was in such good spirits because Brighton had been playing good football. Okay, I know teams around them hadn't been doing so well and a lot of games had been postponed, but they were looking good, Brighton, and they were on to good things, and there has been progress. Obviously last season was their best finish in the league, but Hope Powell had said that day she never wants to fail at this. You know, she wants to do so well with this Brighton side, and it's her everything to put her life at it, and that's what she's been doing. So I think with the scoreline last week against Spurs, nobody would be more disappointed than Hope Powell. So it's a shame that she stepped down. Amy Merrick steps in as interim manager, and great from them yesterday. You know, they are conceding goals heavily, as did West Ham, but they are creating chances. I think Brighton could be a good side. Loving Katie Robinson, she got an England call up as well. And you know, I saw her last week. We had her on the blog, didn't we? And she seems like she's got a lot to offer. You know, I think for England moving forward, she's only 20. You know, World Cup, a couple of years later, she's definitely one to look out for on the right wing. She's got a lot to offer, and she's been brilliant for Brighton as well. I guess that's one positive Hope Powell can take away after that bad week, is that Katie Robinson and May Letizia, both Brighton products under Hope Powell. May Letizia, of course, now at Manchester United, but getting their call up to England, Hope Powell can feel proud of the job that she's done for them as manager and for so many other players as well. Let's end on Leicester 0, Arsenal 4. I wonder what your thoughts were on that, because Lydia Bedford, the Leicester manager, sacked midweek, and Willie Kirk then takes on the role as manager. We know Willie Kirk's been around and has been part of the WSL for a wee while now, and we know he's a very good manager, but Leicester need to get something right. I mean, they need to strengthen that side massively in January. I'm aware that they have a bit of a budget, so perhaps they're going to be able to do that. But yeah, you just want more from Leicester. Hard job to go into, your first day in charge of Leicester, and you're going up against Arsenal. You know, that's got to suck as well. And Arsenal are just ruthless at the minute. They're so ruthless, and I'm impressed with them because, well, we know that they can take on a side like Leicester and probably comfortably beat them, which they did. But they're without, you know, two of their centre-backs, two of the best centre-backs in the world, with Rafa Souza and Leah Williamson, who hopefully should be returning in the next month or so. And then you've got Kim Little now out with the MCL injury, MCL, I think it is. She's out for the next 10 weeks, which is just such a shame. I hate seeing players like Kim Little be out. She's just such a legend. And Viviana Miedema on this leave of absence as well from the club. She needed that time off. It's important to make sure that players don't burn out, and Viv requested that time off and it was granted. But you've got four of your maybe best players. You can say they're very top rated players in the world, and with them out, Arsenal are still able to perform at the highest level and be clinical and keep clean sheets. We saw Wienreuter at the back, didn't we? Sorry, I've got such an itchy nose. With Lotte Wubben-Moy, Katie McCabe at left back, Steph Catley at right back. I think it's how it worked out yesterday. I thought it was very good. They looked well, looked comfortable, freedom on them. You've got to give it to her. What a young talent she is. It's so good to see her get an opportunity, and another goal as well for her. We know that she has it in her. Sure, was it not Willie Kirk said last time that he wanted to sign her when he was at Everton? Was that not why he got the sack or something from Everton? Am I making that up? My brain's mush. But yeah, great to see her get the opportunity and be in there. And also fair play to Stina Blackstenius as well, and captain Jordan Nobbs. Arsenal are ticking nicely. They've gone 14 games unbeaten now, and Jonas Eidevall, Arsenal manager, has said that he thinks they could be the new Invincibles. They could go a full season unbeaten, like the Invincibles men, of course, of Arsenal. I wait and see, because when Arsenal face Chelsea, you know, they've got United are next for Arsenal. I think there might be, against these bigger sides, moments of mistakes, that moments where that could happen, you know, where they might leak a goal and then get stunned. I think that is still very much so possible, especially with the talent that they have out. I think missing Kim Little from your midfield's just got to be, it's got to hinder you at some point along the way. That's my personal opinion, albeit yes, there's depth and there's a lot of talent in that side. You might disagree with me. Can Arsenal go invincible? Oft, there's a prospect. Just make sure you win the league first.